Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Abbott, and I'm going to be discussing your assignment on the Exemplar text study. Now, the reason why we're doing this is because you want to really improve your ability as an essay writer. And one of the main ways you're going to do that, especially after you're done with my class, is by reading what other people are doing in nonfiction writing. How are other people communicating a point, expressing an idea, or making an argument? You're not going to have me around to tell you how to do all these things all the time. And so, one of the ways you can do this is by looking at and studying how other people write. And this is going to be really kind of your first foray into this. And so, that's why I'm going to be asking you to choose an article or an essay. You can even do something like a persuasive podcast if you really wanted to, one episode. Um, and just take a look at how does that author work on making their point? How do they try to convince you of whatever it is they're talking about? And by studying what that author does, you can take a look and see if you can improve your own writing. Can you copy some of the techniques, the structure, the ideas, the methods that they're using in your own writing eventually? And so this is what this is all about. So you're going to pick a article that you really like. I chose this one here from Scientific American titled "Are We Living in a Computer Simulation?" This isn't an argumentative text, it's more of just an informative text. And so I went through, and the first step is to read this. And I read it a couple times. You can see it's not an incredibly long article. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 paragraphs. And just read through it one time and see what you think about the article. Hopefully you're choosing something that you already kind of like and you want to talk about. And so once you've read it, there's going to be a little process that you're going to go through here. So on the right, I have an example of your assignment, but I've filled it out. And so pretty much what you want to do is you want to follow the steps that I have in this assignment. You want to put the title of your text and the author. And the first thing you're going to do is, just like in our descriptive outlining assignment, you want to figure out what is the structure of your text. What are the major pieces? Now, in mine, it was nice because this author actually did subtitles. And so, this author already broke their text into different sections. And so I just used the author's own sections here. In mine, there are 4. There's no guarantee that yours is going to be 4 sections. You might have more, you might have less. More likely you're going to have more. But mine really has 4 different parts. Spell checking here. And so just first, what are the sections of your article? What are the different like argumentative or explanatory pieces that the author goes through in order to explain what it is they're doing? Find those first. That's step 1. I really would not skip to other steps until you've done the first one. All right, now I want to take a look and really describe the structure of my text. So I took those 4 different sections, and really what I want to do is I want to look at the content and the purpose of those 2 sections. So the content is just, what is in it? What does it say? Summarize briefly what it is that part of the article is telling the audience. And so for the introduction, I just gave a brief summary of what was in it. But then we want to look at the purpose. And so this is where it's going to really help you out as a writer to analyze why the author is doing this, right? So tell me, what is it that the author wants from the reader in this section? How does this section of the text serve the larger purpose that the author is trying to communicate? And so the content is just, what does it say? The purpose is more, why does it say it? What does the author want with this section of their text? And so I went through and did that for all of them. This is what the author was saying. This is why the author is saying it. This is what the author is saying. This is why the author is saying it. Because you want to start trying to get inside the author's head, being like, well, why are they making the choices that they're making? Next, I want you to look at the rhetoric. And rhetoric is that ethos, pathos, logos. It's the argumentative methods that the author is using. And so go back through those sections. Now take a look at it with an eye for rhetoric. What are they using to prove their point? Are they using logic? Are they using emotional arguments and loaded language? Or are they using ethos and trying to build up their reputation so you'll believe them? And you'll see in my article, you can see my author uses logos almost 100%. Very little ethos and pathos, but she's not really trying to convince the audience of anything. This is more of an informative article. So really, when you don't have an argumentative article, you're going to get less of logos, pathos, and ethos. Typically, if it's informative, you're really going to get a lot of logos rather than ethos and pathos. And so I went through all the sections and I pulled out all the examples of logos that I could find. Then, step 4, I really want you to narrow it down and find what is the most important line of the or the most important sentence of the paper. Now, there's really one main way to do this, right? Don't try to look at the whole thing and be like, man, how am I supposed to find the most important sentence in here? Ask yourself, okay, which section of this do I think was the most important, right? And then when you found the most important section, look at that section and ask yourself, well, which paragraph in this section do I think is the most important? Once you found that paragraph, now ask yourself, okay, which line of this paragraph is the most important? And tell me what the line is and why you think so. And so here, I chose the line here where the author says, or the author's quoting somebody is saying, you're not going to get proof that we're not in a simulation because any evidence that we get could be simulated. And I thought that was a really important line, and I tell you why I think it's important here. And so all of this work that we're doing here, those first 4 steps, is to get you to this last part where you write a review of your chosen essay. Right? And so you want to use what you learned and just kind of write a review of like what the author was doing, what the essay was about. It's a little bit summary, it's a little bit in interpretation, and it's a little bit analysis, right? And so there are really going to be 4 main parts to this review. You're going to state the name of the mentor text and discuss its impact on you. You'll then summarize the essay or article. You'll give your honest opinion of it, and then connect your opinion to the persuasive techniques we learned about. So why do you think the author did this? And so you can read my example down here, but you can see I briefly state the name of the mentor text. The largest part is just summarizing the article. I give a brief 1-paragraph description on how I felt about the article, and then I talk about the rhetoric or the logos, pathos, and ethos that the author used and why they chose this method to argue for their piece. And so this is going to be your next assignment. I know you're in the process of editing and reviewing your current essay, and so I'm giving you 2 weeks to finish this. But this is going to be something that hopefully can help you out. I would recommend choosing an author who might be writing on a similar topic to you. See how that author is making their case, making their point. See if they're using like logic or argument that maybe you can not copy but borrow from, and this can help make you a stronger writer in many ways. And so once again, I want to make sure you're clear. If you guys are choosing somebody who's doing a similar essay, you're not copying their essay. You're just looking at how they make their argument and seeing if maybe you could use their structure, and maybe there's an argument that they make that you're like, I hadn't thought about that argument. I want to put that idea into my essay as well. And really, it can help you out and allow you to take a look at things. And really studying how other people write is going to be one of the main ways that you are going to improve your writing in the future, especially if you do not have an English teacher, which many of you are not going to have in a few years, okay? And so if you have any questions, make sure you memorize them and bring them to class on one of the days where I can answer your questions. This piece has the due date written below here on the assignment, so you can always check that out. And of course, let me know if you have any questions or you need help with anything.